Oh my goodness, we are live. Hey guys, so my first live on YouTube, so I'm trying to familiarize myself with it. Also, I just worked out, so the first 10 minutes, I have a little bit of brain fog, so bear with me if I say something weird or I have trouble understanding your questions. So here's what we can do. You can type on the right-hand side here, just type a question, and I will do my best to answer. Hope you guys are doing well. It's going to be related to anything in the May program or, your fitness questions in general. It could be what you have planned for the weekend. We keep it pretty informal here. You got a nice look at my wash area there. It's never clean. So right-hand side, type in the question you have, and I will do my best to answer. Naomi, are you live? Oh, okay. Post-workout shake. Do I use creatine? Why or why not? So I do. And first, understanding what's the benefit of creatine. For most people, it's probably not going to be that helpful because creatine, you've got three main energy systems that create energy for your body to do movement. All right. And the one where creatine is most active is what's called your phosphagen energy system. So that is going to be typically max effort bursts of 10 seconds or less, upwards of 20 seconds or less. So we're talking more, max strength power, really, high intensity sports like football, track and field, maybe a little bit like basketball, but basketball, soccer tends to be a really unique blend of aerobic and anaerobic sport. From the standpoint of, is this something that you could benefit from? Absolutely. It's probably not going to be a game changer for people doing the metabolic conditioning workouts, the more circuits in the daily BJ, because again, we're not doing a lot of super short burst, extremely heavy loading stuff. So all creatine is, it just gives you a little more of that because your phosphagen system is called phosphocreatine. ATP phosphocreatine is that energy system. So the more creatine you have, you just have the ability to get more fuel for those short bursts. But if we're doing like work periods of 30 to 60 seconds or longer, that becomes more glycolytic, meaning you're going to be using more sugar in your muscles, the glycogen in your muscles, more than you're going to be using creatine. So it definitely can't hurt. It's probably not going to benefit people that are doing more circuit style training. And it can have some very good benefits for people that are really heavy strength power athletes. But again, that tends to not be the person in general fitness. But it's not bad, and it's probably the most researched supplement out there, and lots of benefits from that standpoint. But probably don't need it, and you don't have to get like the crazy the special delivery system, all the loading stuff. Really, I take it. First, let me put one thing here. Any questions you have on supplements, go to this website called examine.com. I'm putting it right now in the comments. You can search any supplement you're interested in, and they share all the research related to that supplement, so you know whether it's safe, what effects it has, all that stuff. It's actually a very good resource. And I take this thing called Energy from Ladder Supplements, LADDER. Let me see if I can get the site for you guys. I'll put it here. It's not an affiliate. It's the only one I know that I like because it has both. Let me see here. Pulling it up as we speak, so I can put the link in there. Here we go. We are Ladder. How are you doing?
Can you find the link to get on your?
I sent it to you. Okay, so here it is. There's a link. So the Ladder has both beta-alanine and creatine. So beta-alanine is actually, I've always called it like the creatine for metabolic training because it's been proven to help reduce muscle fatigue or help minimize buffer some of the acid that builds up, the acidosis in your muscles from those half minute to full minute work periods that we have in our workouts. So it can actually help you kind of stay in motion, get a couple more reps, better for medium to longer work periods. And then it has creatine, beta-alanine, and caffeine. Those are the three supplements that I take. Beyond protein supplementation, I'm having like 40 grams of plant protein which I also get from that ladder site post-exercise. And let me put that in there too. So the three key supplements, I think, for people that are looking to enhance performance and, their normal workout routine, beta-alanine, creatine, and caffeine. Obviously, the one thing I'll say is if you're doing workouts after 4 p.m., the caffeine is probably not a good idea because it's going to really affect your ability to get a restful sleep. A evening workout does that already. You add caffeine into that, like people taking, 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine, after 4 p.m., it's going to really affect sleep schedule. So just be cognizant with that. And, but that is my opinion on creatine. It's very safe, very researched. Go to examine.com to ask any question you have about any supplement. And then I do like the energy at Ladder because it has the 3 things I listed there: beta-alanine, creatine, and caffeine. So it covers both the shorter work periods, the medium duration work periods, and the caffeine gives you a nice little performance focus enhancement pre-workout. Larry Davis, what's up, man? Hopefully that answered your question, Mr. SMW 2384. So Larry Davis is asking, what's the difference between using 40-20s and 50-10s? My pleasure, man. So good question. And you can approach it a couple ways. One, you can say I'm going to use the same loads, right? Same movement, same loads. And part of what we have in our beginner bootcamp at thedailybj.com is I have, if you're new, I want to get you into this metabolic conditioning circuit format. So I start you at 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And then we go 35-25, 40-20, 45-15, 50-10. And that's going to allow you to build up your work capacity. So we're just adding 5 seconds of work and taking away 5 seconds of rest and increasing density. So density means the amount of work you get per unit of time, right? So if we're doing a 40-20 instead of a 30-30 or a 50-10 versus the 40-20, there's more density in that workout, meaning you're working for more time over the course of that session. So that's great for fat loss. That's great for keeping your heart rate elevated. But what comes with more density is the intensity also goes down a bit. So let's say that I wasn't building you up in your work capacity in that manner. I was just having you do, like a lot of times what I'll do is, this is how I break it down. So we got 3, like if we're going like 5 to 6 movements that work your whole body, and we're in a circuit in that format, do alternating sets. 30-30 would be heavier loads, more advanced variations. 50-10 would be lighter loads, easier variations. All right. And then 40-20 is kind of the sweet spot in between. You'd be using medium loads, medium challenging variations. So for the example of, let's say you would do feet elevated push-ups using 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. You got more rest, the work period's shorter, you can go more intensity on that end. Or you use a heavier weight on chest presses. But I would just do floor push-ups in 40-20, and then maybe I would do hands elevated push-ups in 50-10, because again, I'm trying to stay in motion during that longer work period. So there is a unique difference. It's just intensity. So if it's if the work to rest ratio is 5-1, as is in 50-10, it's a lower intensity protocol. If it's 40-20, it's a 2-1 work to rest ratio, so I can have more intensity, and it is a more intense style of training. They're all good. You want to do them all. Naomi, welcome. So, and that's why I'll mix up the intervals a lot for you guys over the course of month to month, because that is part of how changing intervals is like changing your set rep parameters. But I like the time-based stuff because you don't have to count. Counting tends to distract people and can decrease performance. It messes you up. Where when it's about burning fat, all you got to do is just kind of stay in motion. And again, it's all about time and your attention too to build muscle. So if I told you 10 reps, you could do that in 10 seconds, right? But if it's a 30-second work period, you're ensuring that, because really what your body knows is time and tension. So tension is the load or the variation you're using. And regardless of the training tool, by the way, and then time is how long you're working for. Shorter work periods, you can go faster, harder, heavier loading. Longer work periods, you're going to go slower, more controlled tempos, higher rep, lighter loads, easier. So if that answers your question. It's all good. There's not one that's better than the other. I like, if I had to pick one, it would be 40-20, because it's like the sweet spot where you can really push. You kind of can get close to the upper end of intensity, and the rest period is short enough to really keep the elevation of the heart rate, but it's long enough to allow you to kind of switch between protocols. Part of what I do too, depending on the workout, right? So if it's a single piece of equipment that's easy to move from move to move, I can go shorter rest periods there. But if it's a workout where you're going from like dumbbells to like a TRX to a kettlebell, then I'll tend to go 20 to 30 second work periods to give you the time to transition and set up. So all that goes into it. But the benefit of being a member of the dailybj.com is I do all that for you so you can just get to work and get it in. So I hope that helps. Who's next? By the way, the hardest protocol is 1050s, like 1545, 1050s. Those are the hardest because you go ham. It's like max effort sprint sets. And if you don't have that extra recovery, the intensity dips big time. So guys that are tuning in, questions related to the May programming. It could be questions related to any past workouts we've done, your fitness questions in general, and possibly sex tips. I'll do the best I can. I'm not that good at it, but I have been doing it. I'm like the chicken that lays an egg a day. I've been doing it for a long time, on and off. My wife can testify to that. We had questions on creatine. I answered it there, gave some links. Larry asked about 40-20, 50-10 differences, and I just answered that. Weekend plans. What shows are you watching? I'm always curious. My wife and I crush TV, Netflix, Hulu, Showtime, HBO. Naomi, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth with those sayings. Z-Sonic, I recognize you, man. I appreciate all your comments in the membership area. She wanted me to ask how she should be feeling physically during and after the workout. She wants to get results, but she's worried about injury. So how should you feel? You know, the way I describe it is you want to be like in the eye of a hurricane. You want to be quiet, calm, but, you know, there's a lot going on around you. You don't want to be overwhelmed. You don't want to be suffering, but, you know, you realize the way the body works. If we don't create enough of a stimulus that requires your body to adapt, it won't change. If you create too much of a stimulus and throw too much at it, it's too hard. You'll probably not be as consistent. You'll dread your workouts and you'll have trouble recovering. So, you know, if we say 10 out of 10 is the hardest you can possibly go, like if your life depended upon it, you're probably going to want to, most of the time, operate at a 7 to 8. Meaning, you know, you're pushing yourself, you're doing the best you can, but, you know, if you have to take a brief pause for 5 seconds, you do it. And you hope to eliminate those pauses over time. But, you know, again, you're not trying to do those hero workouts. Because, again, that's not – once you know you're doing this forever, each workout takes on less importance. It's not that you don't have to do it, but you don't have to risk injury. You don't have to be stupid about it. If there's 4 weeks and you're doing a contest, like, yeah, I guess every rep counts. Every meal counts. You can't fuck up. You got to be really dialed in. And there's a lot of pressure and anxiety around it. But that's what I'm trying to get everybody at this site out of. I've done that shit in my life, and it's not sustainable. And I know that we know people love the short-term shit, the 21-day, 30-day. I've had DVD programs and stuff like that. And by the way, if we wanted to probably get more members, I would do those more often. But what it does, it takes away from the fact that, look, you're going to do this forever. So all we got to do is be consistent. We got a consistent schedule that I have had people on for over a decade, 3 workouts a week that work your whole body, 30 minutes or less, minimal equipment. You can do it at home, travel with it. And now you've got a sustainable lifestyle to build upon. And instead of worrying about like that workout, just every couple weeks, monthly, you want to see yourself using harder movements, heavier loads where it applies, more advanced movement variations, taking less rest, noticing the performance gains outside of the gym. So, you know, that's the biggest thing that I want you to focus on is just being consistent. So you've got to pick an intensity for yourself that allows you to be consistent with your workouts. As it happens, like the first time I boxed, I came in like throwing haymakers. 10 minutes into the hour session, I was done. Like I had nothing left. And I don't know how I got to the first session. My wife can testify to this. We did lunch right after the session in Santa Monica. And like, I was fucked up. Like I was messed up for like 2 to 4 days. It affected the workouts the next couple of days. And, but now because I've been doing it so regularly and I've been learning how to breathe better and I've been finding my confidence with it and I'm not learning how to conserve my energy, all that matters, right? I can now be even more intense and sustain it for a full hour without, usually I feel like I'm going to die towards the end, but it's not going to totally mess me up the rest of the day, though usually I do like to take it easy the rest of the day after boxing. But so again, that's how I want you to focus on it. Like a 7 or 8, if 10 was your life depended upon it, you were on TV competing in a fitness competition, you know, and 5 was like, you know, going through the motions, you want to be 7 or 8. Larry's asking for timed. I'll get you, Larry, for one second. I just noted Catalan. I hope I'm saying it right. Manolache. Beautiful name. If I need to lose fat around the love handles, that doesn't go after 1 year of the daily BJ. Should I try more fat loss work or better control the nutrition? You want to always go to trying to clean up your diet, right? Because surely you can add more exercise. Like the one thing I always say is that, these are 3 30-minute workouts a week, but I want you moving for an additional 30 to 60 minutes outside of the gym every day, regardless of what you're doing. That's walking. That is just getting on your feet, standing on the hour every hour, and just, walking around a little bit, getting outside, getting away from the desk. You've got to accumulate more of that lower intensity movement. You don't want to throw more high intensity movement at this, in my opinion, especially if you are a busy parent or professional, because you're just adding more stress. But you can get more low intensity activity to help. Because if anything, these workouts put you in a situation where you can burn more fat at all other times, at rest, between workouts. So any extra activity you do on top of that can really help. So with that, nutrition-wise, that obviously is the easiest way to, I just burned about 1,000 calories an hour of boxing, and I'm dying. But I could eat 1,000 calories in a couple minutes. Like that would be probably like a cup of peanut butter. 1,000 calories, done. I could drink that right now. So obviously, the easiest way to get an impact in terms of trying to reduce fat is to try to clean up your diet a bit. And the way I would look at it is foundation of what I recommend is protein and produce. By the way, if you haven't checked out my podcast, I'm going to type it in right now. It's called the Weekly BJ Podcast. It's on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Just search The Weekly BJ Podcast. I have also links all over social media. I can even put a link in right now. Let me see. But I do a lot of podcasts about nutrition. Let me send you this one. This is a really good one, I think, to start with. All right, I'm going to put it in the comments. So here's the 5 pillars of fat loss. And one of the things I talk about is protein and produce. Really the 5 things you got to really dial in to make sure you're burning fat at optimal levels. Understand too, I have a little pooch in my lower abs. Like if I'm doing mountain climbers, I've got this little fat depot that hangs. And I always tell my wife, let's make sure we get a good shadow so you can't see it. Because we all have some fucking fat in our bodies. It's unless I am shredded to the bone because I hold more fat in my face and then my love handle, low abdominal area. Unless I'm shredded to the bone, you're going to see there's an inch to pinch, right? And a lot of it, what it comes down to is how much sacrifice. I could get rid of that, but I'd have to probably not be as, I just eat way too much on the weekends. I could cut that out a little bit if I wanted that, but then, my wife and I love to eat and have fun. So I'd be losing that aspect. And again, so it's finding the balance. What level of sacrifice are you willing to make for the result? If that level of sacrifice, like having to do more activity, be more strict with your diet, maybe you have to pass on having some alcoholic beverages on the weekend if that's what you do, or quote unquote the weed. Got to be careful with that, by the way. Really, that's because once we got to California, my wife and I partake in edibles on the weekend, and we can't stop eating. I should be 500 pounds. It must be my body is genetically, I've altered something because of all these years of training and eating and the muscle I have. But I should be 500 pounds with the amount that I eat when I have an edible. And if I wanted to get shredded, I would probably not have it as often as I do, or take a break from it for a while. And maybe instead of eating cheat meals outside, I would do more of them at home, cleaner cheats. So, but it's a foundation of protein and produce. That's the number thing when it comes to the diet. And then your carbohydrate intake is based on how active you are. If you're not very active on a given day, you probably don't want to have as much starch, more fruits and vegetables, and more vegetables than fruits in terms of that ratio. And then you can have more carbohydrate on your workout days, or you go lower during the week to allow yourself to have more on the weekends and social settings. So, but you can't spot reduce. If you can't just start doing side crunches and broomstick twists and expect your love handle fat to go away. Your body will lose fat in a genetically predetermined way. It's different for everyone. And if that's a trouble spot for you, typically that means you got to get super lean before you even get to those areas. And for many people, it's just not worth it. I'm not saying to be, to celebrate mediocrity. I'm also saying yeah, I know you could probably do it, but really the goal is try to be try to find, I always like to say, see how much you can get away with and find the smallest amount you need to add in terms of exercise and the smallest amount you need to take away in terms of diet to get the results you're looking for so that it can be more sustainable and not overwhelm your system. And I'll be making a lot more podcasts about the art of the cheat meal. I have one on intermittent fasting in there too in the podcast. There's one on keto and low carb stuff. So there's some good stuff to take a look. Yeah, it blows my mind. People don't have a podcast. But what I do in the podcast, I just answer the most commonly asked questions I get. Some are deep dives, some are shorter hot takes on stuff. But I think it really can really help round out, because we want to make the Daily BJ really just about exercise, because nutrition is like a religion at this point. It's like political. And ultimately, you're going to have to figure out what works best for you. So really what I do in the podcast, I just share what works for me, what works for clients over the years, and give you some guidelines. But I want you to ultimately mold it for yourself. And if you're really looking for more guidance on that, and you can also, and you want to build more muscle and want to invest more in your fitness, that's where I think GorillaCornGains.com can be an asset for people looking for that. But the podcast will certainly help you with that as well. Larry is asking, doing time unilateral sets, do you try to keep the reps on the same on each side? Well, a lot of that comes to, I don't want you guys to worry about counting. So what I do recommend, you do the weak side first, and then that will ensure that you do it when you're most fresh and focused. And ultimately, you'll get at least probably the same amount of reps automatically that way. If you do your weak side last or second, that residual fatigue or that systemic fatigue can actually make it even harder. And so you might be looking at a rep difference. And if you want to count, I guess if there's anything to count, you could count the single-sided stuff. But like I said, if you do the weak side first, when you're most fresh, you're going to probably end up in, pretty symmetrical with that. That's how I approach it. I don't really count them. Again, I hate counting. The only thing I like to count is cash in the bank. Okay, so we got that. Gabriel is asking, since the workouts are full body, how should I modify the workouts if I'm injured on one arm due to swimming? So obviously, if your left arm is hurt, what does that mean for your right arm? You can do anything on the right side. You can do almost any lower body exercise, almost any core exercise. So ultimately, if there's an injury, again, because I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a physical therapist, it's beyond my scope to give you rehab advice. So you want to see a PT or a medical professional to kind of deal with it. Biceps tendonitis. Excuse me. Come here. Come up here. I'm going to show you real quick. Come here. Oh my God. Look at this guy. This is our resident nutrition expert. He's a boxer and he loves foods. So yes, you want to, biceps tendonitis in general is a brutal condition. So I feel for you. I had, for a decade, I had patellar tendonitis on and off. And it's one of those things where like you rest it starts feeling better, but then you lose muscle and conditioning. And then if you keep pushing, it gets worse, ends up scarring. You get scar tissue and stuff like that. So the key is working around injuries. That's how stuff comes up. And so you say, okay, I'm going to keep my lower body strong. I'm going to do whatever upper body stuff I can do that doesn't bother the issue. I'm going to see a doctor to help me rehabilitate this, but I'm going to work around it. I'll do everything I can do that doesn't bother the injured area. You don't work through the pain, you work around it. So when I had all the knee issues, I just focused on my upper body. I did more glute ham dominant stuff. It didn't bother the knee as much. I did lower impact cardio stuff. I did all the core work I could do. But you want to still find ways to get back to it, because otherwise you'll end up like Johnny Bravo, huge upper body and then chicken legs, which I did have like my late 20s, early 30s. That was what happened. And then now I finally found some balance back on my physique where probably my legs are now look too big for my upper body, but it's probably a good problem to have. So obviously, if you're doing dumbbell workouts, it's a dumbbell press. You can do a single arm press on the good side. If it's a double arm press, then I guess you can just do the one arm press or maybe go lighter load. But ultimately, you want to see a doctor or a PT to start rehabilitating that so you can get back into it and then just do the stuff you can do. And again, always my main message to you guys and gals is focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. If you focus on what you can't do, there's plenty of things I can't do. Can't sing or dance. Not very talented at all. I was just talking to my wife about this yesterday. I'm kind of a savant. We just went to the DMV yesterday. I have no idea even how that situation works, but she had a nice folder ready for me. It had my passport, 2 proof of address forms, a couple other things, and I mean, had she not like prepped me I was like a little schoolboy being dropped off. I had a backpack. I had a nice little folder. So again, if I focus on what I can't do, I would be very depressed. So I just focus on what I can do, and it's fitness and eating. So those are the two things I excel at. And watching TV, 3 things. What do we got next? Yeah, I'm telling you, man, like, and it's really the indica strain. That's what, like, when we have that, I can't get full. We will eat nonstop. We watched one season of The Wire. For some reason, we got out of it. We're going to go back to it and watch it through, but definitely want to get into that because I forgot why we got out of it. Probably just a busy time. Catalan, I'm happy to help. Well, 8 out of 10. Okay, I will take it. Manalache. I don't know how to. I wish you could say it so I could learn it, but yeah, everybody loves The Wire. We've been actually watching The Office. We never watched The Office until recently. We've been crushing that. Obviously, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. I like Billions on Showtime. I mean, we watch it all. Like, really, sometimes we'll watch 5 hours of TV at night. But I digress. Thanks for doing this, Scott. Scott, my pleasure, man. I'm just reading as trying to talk. How long did it take you to get to a satisfactory point? What was the most important thing you did? So I was 26, right? So obviously, in your 20s, the body seems to bounce back quite quickly. And I was still doing resistance training. Just really my diet went off, and I was not getting a lot of sleep. And with a lack of sleep means you move less, you eat more, you're more stressed, and you have higher stress levels, cortisol levels, and your body will accumulate more fat. So, really what it was is just I was still in my mid-20s kind of dealing with like this cutting bulking where I'd be super strict. I would only have green vegetables for like 16 weeks, and then I would just lose control. And I really focused on the second half of my 20s, just trying to find the balance whereby I could be lean all the time. The way I am now, where it's like, I don't look like $1 million, but I'm like I might not look slice and diced or like a cover model at all times. But, I'd probably say, I think between 8 to 10% body fat. I don't measure it. And I'm lean enough that people, I guess, still watch my stuff. Again, I for me, it's like, as long as I don't look like a bag of dicks, I'm probably doing okay. But I can sustain with this at all times now. So now, kind of like 2 weeks out, if I had to get ready for something, I would cut down on my starch intake. I would maybe bump up the activities level slightly. I would definitely fine tune my weekend festivities, and I would probably look exactly the way I wanted to look for that project in 2 weeks. So again, that was really what I was trying to do, is find a way to have a little bit of daily flexibility, like in terms of like every night I allot myself like 300 calories of a sweet treat, just to kind of take the edge off and allow me to not feel like overwhelmed or too depressed, so I lose control on the weekends. And then on the weekend, usually it's been typically 2 days where I have some flexibility, and it's not like a nonstop cheat day, but like, at least one meal of those, like one meal on Friday, one meal on Saturday, I'm having stuff I wouldn't have during the week, but still having protein and produce, just plus something else, right? It could be a sandwich, a burger, some fries, some pizza. And then if I was trying to dial it in, I would probably make pizza at home. Something that I know what's in it, and then I can moderate my intake a bit more. But it's a balance. It's a battle, especially if you love food. Like, that's the issue. Like, there's some people that don't have an issue with this because they don't have a food drive. I love to eat. That I had eating disorders, frankly. I would binge eat, and then I would starve myself, and I would binge eat. And, I think I didn't really realize it until recently that I had such a problem with food, though I've been battling with it for so long. So for me, it's all about taking the anxiety out of it, not being too obsessive OCD with it, and just trying to find the balance. And, what I'm finding now is if I have a little more carbohydrate during the week, I don't feel as ravenous on the weekends, and I tend not to overdo it in the way that I did in the past. And I end up having a better result, and I feel better, and I just look better at all times. But again, what I'm trying to tell you is, you've got to be willing, right? You can't get good at something until you can be shitty at it for a long enough period of time. That's how all this stuff works. Usually people don't stick with something because the hardest part is the beginning where you suck at it. Like I suck at boxing, but I'm so much better than I was back in October. If I would have, I thought about not coming back to the second session because I was so bad. My footwork was awful. I couldn't breathe. It was a disaster. I'm like, how am I fit and I can't do this shit? But I stuck with it. And, ultimately that I was willing to let myself be shitty, like super shitty at it so that I could end up being just shitty. And now my next goal is just to be bad. And then I'm going to be mediocre. And then I can be maybe hopefully okay. And then good. Maybe I can be great someday. And again, that's how pretty much that's been the trajectory of my career. Just outlasted people that were too into instant gratification and couldn't look at the long-term mindset of this. When I think about my body, I think about what will this impact me, not this today or next week. It's 3 to 5 years from now. That's how I always think about things now. I'm 36. How is this going to help me when I'm 40 years old to still be able to move well and deliver fitness to people all over the world? And again, that's the mindset people don't take. You got to think about things in terms of really the most important thing is a long-term impact. And because of the way we operate in this digital world of instant gratification and social media, it's very difficult to, especially when you see people sharing their highlights. No one shares the lowlights. And you see someone ripped at all times. And usually those people, they take one set of photos a year. They use them throughout the year. They don't look that way all year. And they have a couple of videos they use repeatedly. And so it isn't an authentic experience. When you see me, this is the way I look at all times. I might be a little leaner sometimes, but what I'm most impressed about, like for myself, is that I've been able to not only sustain this for, over 10, 15 years, but I've also been able to slowly build upon it to the point where now people that were like so much more fit than me in, early 20s, mid 20s, because I've just kept at it and I've been consistent, and they may have just relied on genetics or never having been fat or whatever else, or never having to worry about the way they eat because they were never fat, right? That's one of the benefits of being a fat kid, is that you've got to learn how to eat for your body type quite quickly. Otherwise, you can get out of control. Otherwise, you're going to be one of those dudes in the basement clapping to Richard Simmons tape. So it gets dangerous quick. That was a rant. I apologize. Jeff, what's up, man? NBA 2 game getting any better? It is. So I'm still trying to figure out the alley-oop, but I have right now, I'm 19-4 with the Lakers on the beginner level though. But I just want you to know, people are talking about my team. They're tweeting about it. There's like the social media section after a game, and I'm second in the standings behind the Golden State Warriors. So I'm definitely getting better. But the first time I did it, man, it was brutal. But it's fun. It's a fun, nice little. You really have to. It is actually some brain training to be able to remember the buttons, move them quickly, do them in synchronization if you're trying to do like a cool move. So it's improving. I'm hoping to one point do some live stream stuff. I've got the camera ready. I'll get on Twitch and maybe I can do some live stream stuff. I can actually play. If you guys have the game and a live stream capability, I could play some of you guys on NBA 2K. Clothing line. Miss Naomi, feel free to put in some links for that. We are working through samples right now. We are getting closer and closer. We're going to start with the short shorts, obviously, but then we're going to have a longer short that would really be what I would wear most of the time. You can also wear the longer short over the short short. Like, so if I went to the beach, I wouldn't go to the beach wearing the short shorts. It's like a large-breasted woman walking around with a low crop top. It's too much. There's too much meat. So I cover it up, and then when I go to a better area for that, I can take them off. And then we're going to have a muscle tank that's fitted, and we're really working on dialing in not just the fit, but we want a really high quality material. We're looking at, my wife can touch on this more, because again, let me tell you, my gift is that I'm self-aware. I know what I'm good at. I know what I suck at. And I'm not a fashionista. My wife knows this stuff in and out. She's trying to work on finding the best fabrics that will last, that will also thermoregulate for hot and cold climate, that won't stink after wash. We're really trying to dial that in. Someone was like, can you make a cargo short? I'm like, I'm not Brett Favre. So it'll be true and authentic to what I would wear, and that I can guarantee. And then my wife just posted the link. So on Instagram, it's sleeves sold separately, and then it's sleevessoldseparately.com to sign up for the wait list. We'll let you know right away when things are ready. But I think you guys will dig it. It's going to be, again, like the way I'm approaching it is exactly all the things I've hated in clothing is, and the ways that usually it's built for. I'm 6'2", 225. I've got kind of a weird build, very thick, and so if most things to fit my shoulders will make my waist look big and bulky, and then I don't like thick fabrics, I like thin knits. I like a certain type of band. I don't like bands for shorts that like pinch at your waist. Again, I don't like feeling my fat and my low ab and love handle being pinched. So I like a nice, I like it to rest a little lower on the hip. I like it to not pinch and be loose and comfortable, but it won't slide down on you. Certain fabrics I like better. I think thin knits look better for people that are fit because it allows you to show your physique better. So, that's what I'm looking for. Most things are built for like, at least for guys, someone who's 5'8", 165. And obviously I'm not. So what I'm trying to do is, it's not just for big dudes, but also people that are fit that have, big arms, wide shoulders. And if you sweat a lot too, it's called sleeve sold separately because we're just going to cut out the middleman. Who needs the sleeve? We actually might sell the sleeves separately on the site for a high price, like $100 sleeves. You can, Velcro on. That's a joke, but who knows? I've done crazier things. But yeah, I don't like sleeves. I don't wear them often, and the sleeveless blazer might be version 2.0. You'll see. We have goals. Sleeves are death, and you get the pit stains. You get the yellow. I don't like it. I'm gonna have it cut low enough so you can actually still see some lats, some serratus, rib cage. You get the ventilation, but it'll all be stuff that'll be athleisure, so you could still potentially wear it out and not look like a total. You would just look like a sophisticated meathead. Not just like a total meathead. My wife listed the fabrics in there too. Let me see. I hope I didn't miss any questions. If I missed a question, guys, just ask it quick. So you just post a question there, and I will answer in comment. By the way, it can be related to the May programs, past workouts. It can be related to any fitness questions you have that aren't covered at the site. Could also be weekend plans, any other questions you might have. So Z-Sonic is asking, yeah, okay, got it. Thank you, Naomi. My girlfriend and I have different goals. That's a shock of the century. And different body types. Any tips for meal planning so we don't have to eat completely different things all the time? So this is a good question. I'm going to do a podcast with my wife about what it's like to marry or date, a fitness nut. So you can get, understand. I think a lot of you have this, like in any relationship, it's rare you're going to find someone who's equally passionate about something, right? Usually someone's into something more than the other one, which is probably good because, there's a balance there. If there were two of me's, if I dated myself, it would be a disaster, right? Luckily, my wife and I complement each other nicely, but she'll share her perspective on like what it's like to deal with this all day, right? And in the same regard, I can share my perspective on what it's like to have the pressure to eat a certain way and look a certain way when someone else you're with doesn't, and how you balance those dynamics. And that's kind of beyond what I can answer here because that's a deep dive. So we'll do that eventually on the podcast. But what I can say, in general, we don't eat the same things. Like we've tried that in the past, but my wife doesn't do as well with fattier meat. She actually needs a lower fat intake, and I actually like the fattier meats. And she actually eats more vegetarian, vegan. So just because she has issues with with whey protein, with dairy. So, but what has happened is I've actually started incorporating more plant protein sources into my diet because she orders something from a meal prep service, and so you can learn from each other, right? So I try to get her to get more micronutrition, more fruits and vegetables. She's not as good with that, and I think for her, she can help me not just because I'm the type that will just do the same thing, and so yeah, if you both like all the exact same foods. Pretty much what it means is your lady friend is going to be cutting, the protein portions, the fat portions in half. So, that's pretty much how you would break it down. She's probably not 20 to 30 grams of protein max. You can go as high as 40 to 60. And then, fat intake, it would be about half of what your fat intake would be. And especially when we're talking about things like beef, both the fat and protein intake, they take care of themselves because it's all in one, right? But, tips on that, honestly, I would try not to do it. Let her do her thing, and then you do your thing. And where you can meet in the middle, do so. But I guess one of the mistakes I've made is I've tried to make my wife eat the way I eat for simplicity, and that's not how she likes to eat. So I let her do whatever she wants now. She's been more consistent with her diet than ever. And, she knows what to do. And that's really, once the knowledge is there, you don't want to be, that's where you become like the dad, like, do this. And I still do it sometimes. Like I have to force her to take fish oil, but I say I do it because I care. And so I help her with that stuff, but really she does exactly what she wants now. I don't have any input. If she has a question, she'll ask, but she knows all this shit at this point now. So it's really about, letting someone decide what works best for them and then supporting it and making it work. And have I actually put my hands in your mouth? I mean, it's been close. I mean, how can you not get your fish oil in? It's so important. She's into skin and hair. It's like, you're not going to get your fish oil in? One of the most important omega-3s? But I digress. But yeah, I'll get a podcast on it. But ultimately, man, like it's going to be difficult. You're not this unless you're twins, and even twins have different eating preferences, by the way. It's not going to be perfect anyway. So do your thing, let her do her thing, and meet in the middle where you can. Let me see what else I got here. I've never drank a protein shake so slowly. It's been like in sips. Done. Okay. What else we got? The liquid oils can be a good option too. Nordic, what is it? Nordic oils or something? I hope I didn't miss anything. By the way, guys, if you also have, because again, the best way for me to answer the stuff that isn't like the workouts is through audio. So if you have particular things you want me to touch on in the podcast, just post them in the comments and I'll put it on my content list of things to address. I just did one on, is it okay to train when you're sick, sore, or tired? A lot of people have asked about that. And at some point you will be all three. So I basically share my approach to modifying your training or how to deal with that at those 3 times. I think you'll enjoy that one. I just posted one today about how to build the ultimate home gym. There's been a lot of good ones recently. Really, I made a shift in the podcast where I was just having guests. I'm just now it's me. It allows me to get these out quicker. And then frankly, I think you're getting more value because I'm the smartest person in the world. No, because, honestly, it's tough to find good guests that actually have like stuff to say. Like my biggest thing, if I'm going to put something out there, I want you to benefit from it. I want you to walk away with, with actionable steps. And a lot of times people just give fluff. So I might have some guests on, here and there, but it's really just me sharing deep dives and all the things that I've encountered that I wish I would have known when I got started and that I think you guys and gals wonder about. So happy to take requests on that, unless it's like something so like, what do you do if I hurt my thumb? Which that's probably not, as interesting to. I actually, by the way, I answered that like my last couple months of Men's Health. They're like, they want you to start doing these news videos. I was like, fuck. It was just one of the other things that added. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving soon, and I'll just wait for the right time. And then one of the questions was, how can I keep training if I hurt my right thumb? And I'm like, when you make content, you want the content to be as interesting to as many people as possible, not just the 10 people in the world right now dealing with a thumb injury. But I was like, you know what? Let me actually cover this because they might ask me to stop doing it. So it is actually out there in the ether, what to do. It's a 3-minute video about what to do if you hurt your thumb. Jeff, go to let me give the link. Just did this podcast. It's posted today. Everything you need to know about my home gym, my top 10 piece of training tools, not piece, but like top 10 training tools. It's coming. Z-Sonic, bless you, man. I appreciate that. So, Jeff, that link is where pizza is amazing. Well, don't get me going. It's Thursday. It's too close to the weekend to talk about pizza right now. Yeah, listen to it. And then I have gardenofgains.com is where all the training tools that I talk about in the podcast, if you want to reference there. Oh, looks like, is that a link? Why wouldn't I do that? Let me repost that. Actually, this YouTube live cast is not bad. We're trying to do it through the Daily BJ app, but it's not currently in the package we have on that platform. So basically, it's just a private link. Only Daily BJ members can see this right now. So I hope you guys like it. That is also where all our equipment is. Our bands, all the stuff you see, and then stuff you won't see at the Daily BJ. Because again, part of what our promise is that, the workouts are accessible for minimal equipment setups, and you can do it at home. You can travel with them. So some of the other stuff you see that's more expensive and intensive, that's stuff I use like for GorillaCornGains.com. The muscle building program, which is basically like a graduate program for the Daily BJ. See what else we got here. Anybody watching the NBA playoffs? Anybody from Milwaukee? I'm a Lakers fan because I'm a LeBron James fan. Now I live in LA. And I was never a Bucks fan because I never wanted the Bucks to do badly, but I was a Michael Jordan fan growing up. So I was with the Bulls. And then, LeBron came around, and I just am a big fan of him as a player. And so I was a Cavs fan, then a Heats fan, then a Cavs fan. I'm a Lakers fan. The Packers are the only team that I've been that will always have me. I'm loyal to the day I die. I've been a fan since I was a baby. I'm a shareholder, but it's great seeing the Bucks do so well. I think the Bucks have a legitimate shot at winning the whole thing, and I think it'll be the Bucks and Warriors in the finals. But Toronto is not big enough or long enough or deep enough to deal with the Bucks. The Bucks can beat you without Giannis playing well. They've got all these guys that can play that can play D and hit threes. And they're big, tall guys that are just going to make it difficult for guys like Kawhi to get their shots off. I think the Bucks will beat the Warriors if KD doesn't come back. If KD comes back, it's going to go 7. And then I really don't know because, again, you've got arguably the Bucks are a better team, but they don't have the championship experience. So a lot of that is just who can rise to the occasion, who stays healthy. I think they've got a legitimate shot. Robert, what's up, man? The Greek Freak. Greek salads and the Greek Freak, two great things. By the way, Greek food, man, is phenomenal. We've got this great place in Malibu we go to, and I just discovered that what's it called? There's like it's a Greek lasagna, but what they do is it's like eggplant and then eggplant, potato. I've never had more potato on a regular basis than I do now. And yeah, it's starchy, but it's a vegetable, and it's loaded with fiber and nutrition. It fills me up, and I find it gives me a lot of good training fuel during the week without impacting, my body fat levels in a negative way. So, but I love potatoes. I love it. So it's basically like it's a lasagna with potato instead of noodle and eggplant mixed in and beautiful sauce and ground beef. It's delicious. It starts with M. Moussaka. Yes, there it is. Amazing. What an amazing food. Scott Welp. Oh, you're talking about the original Complex guy. So, is it Dvorak? I think. I'm getting confused with Novak Djokovic and also the Joker on the net on the Nuggets, Jokic. It's all blending in right now. But originally, when I was researching complexes back in the day, he was one of the guys who popularized complexes. So I certainly am familiar with him and have looked at many of his complexes. And obviously, like you try to do is I never steal. I get inspiration, but then I always add my own sauce. That's what any good chef does, right? You certainly almost everything has been done out there, but you find your own signature and flair. And again, usually, like, honestly, I'm more of a practitioner. Obviously, I read and research and try new things, but I've come up with all the best stuff that people really have enjoyed from me over the years because I do it, and then I try it, and then whatever I find to be best sticks. And then usually, too, what helped me a lot early on is because I ran boot camps and I have hundreds of people coming through. A lot of the workouts you're getting were initially tested and trialed, back in 2005, 6, 7, 8. And then the best stuff I would keep going with, and I would keep evolving and improving and fine tuning. And so it just keeps getting better. But, that's the benefit of, having that initial experience with people is that I know the lowest common denominator now with the programming, right? Because we have so many people from all over different levels of fitness. So when I make these workouts, I can't just make it for one person. I got to make it so that as many people as possible can do them, benefit from them safely, etc. So but yeah, I'm definitely familiar. He's the OG with complexes, but his complexes also were a little more, basic. I don't want to say basic. Nothing wrong with basics, but it was like the curl, the raise, the press. So I tend to add again, I've got my own unique flair with complexes. Sometimes combination moves make their way, unique things, a little more multi-planar. Yeah, Greek food, man, is Mediterranean food in general is like, you can't go wrong. Most of it's cooked in olive oil, a lot of protein and produce. And then you just got to be careful with the rice and the pitas, right? That's stuff that if you have in moderation, or you save for yourself on the weekends. But the foundation of a Mediterranean diet is incredible. A lot of the blue zones are in Mediterranean areas. Blue zones are where high concentration of people that live 100 years or longer, centenarians, and diet is pretty important too. And they also walk a shit ton, right? Again, like a lot of this stuff, listen to the 5 Pillars of Fat Loss podcast and share it with some friends, because again, like it's basically the fat loss journey simplified to the 5 key strategies to really lock in. And protein and produce and walking are 2 of the 5. They really are. Walking alone doesn't really help you lose weight, but walking in addition to high intensity activity is key. It also is critical to never getting fat. That the hardest part of once you're fat, it's not only that you have to lose it, but your body is going to be more prone to wanting to go back there. Fat isn't of itself. It has its own endocrine system. It has a hormonal impact on your body that you have to fight. And also, once you've been overweight, it actually kind of changes the homeostasis in your body, in the sense that you'll always probably have to there's like an extra couple hundred calories minimum you have to account for every day, whether it be through activity or exercise, because of the fact that you were fat in the past, that your body, it does forever hurt your ability to stay lean. It does. And it's a burden that I carry, and I will the rest of my life. But as you stay consistent and build muscle over time, you can really counteract that and find a way to keep it locked in. So Robert's asking, sometimes I work out with weights prior to the BJ workouts. Watch your mouth. Not a lot, but do a few sets of chest and back. Is that okay? So this is where Robert is now entering the next level, probably his fitness experience, right? So if you're really interested in getting strong, you can get stronger, obviously, with the daily BJ workouts, but not, strength work is typically done with more focus, heavier loading, more equipment access, more rest between sets, stuff that people usually don't have time for, right? So 2 things, Robert. So if you want to do some strength work before the daily BJ circuits, you could do 2 to 3 sets of heavier work, and then, trying to keep it no longer than 20 minutes, and then you go into your 20 to 30 minute circuit. And that can be a great way to approach your workouts. You still incorporate some of the heavy lifting if you feel like you need it. If you're looking for truly looking to now build muscle and build serious muscle and make it kind of next level stuff, that's where Gorilla Core and Gains might be something to look at, which is my high-end coaching program. Where pretty much everybody in it right now used to be a member of the Daily BJ, but they found that they wanted more. They're willing to do 4 to 6 sessions a week, train 40 to 60 minutes per session. They have more equipment access. It's just more important to them. But for many people who are busy, parents, professionals, you don't have the time, you don't care, and you pretty much are probably going to get what you want out of your body from the Daily BJ. And most of them actually are still members of the Daily BJ when they find themselves in minimal equipment situations or travel or whatever else. They do some of those workouts to supplement Gorilla Core and Gains. But so you could do for example, let's say Monday, a Monday workout, you superset presses with pull-ups, and you do 2 to 3 sets of 4 to 6 reps each, and then you go into your high rep metabolic work. Then maybe Wednesday is squats. Friday could be hip hinges or deadlifts. Again, whatever it is how you're structuring your workout. But if you do the heavy work, you would do it for about 10 to 20 minutes to start the workout, and then go into your TDBJ Metcon workouts, and that gives you a nice blend. But it's beyond what 90% or more of the people that set are looking for, and you can certainly make it work. Again, my whole thing, man, is if you're consistent and you want to add some things to it, I'm fine with that. I'm not as militant as I used to be about stuff. Though every once in a while, my militance rises through. Another good series to check out, Chernobyl on HBO. It's about that nuclear fallout, the core reactor blowing up. It's mind-blowing, and it's so well done. So if you're looking for some good TV shows to watch, my wife and I love it. They also have a podcast that comes with it that kind of breaks down the episodes. But, I mean, nuclear power has always fascinated me, and it's one of the biggest disasters in history. And by the way, it could have been so much worse. There was a possibility of the entire Eastern Europe, pretty much the entire continent of Europe, was going to be changed forever if something else had happened after the initial explosion, which it almost did. So if you're interested in some content, some viewing, check it out. My pleasure, Robert. Thanks for the question, man. So we got a couple more minutes here. 5-minute warning. Any final questions? Innuendo? Anybody got some rumors that we can spread? It's so funny how many of you didn't know about the podcast. I'm going to read out to you guys. Here have been the last 15 episodes of the podcast. Workouts versus programs. What's the best? There was frauds in fitness. Probably not of interest to you guys. The Chipotle food pyramid. So how I eat at Chipotle and how my approach to eating at Chipotle can basically guide you to your regular eating or whenever you go out. Training for fat loss versus muscle gain. What's the difference? One Nation Under Stress. A great documentary to watch on HBO. I just touch on how stress is really just the silent killer that many people aren't looking at. Then there was Easiest Way to Build More Muscle. There was Games of Thrones, which was don't watch it, don't listen to it unless you like Game of Thrones. And by the way, many of my predictions were incorrect, sadly. To stay young, keto, carb wars, the 5 pillars of fat loss, and fat loss in 6 words, intermittent fasting 101, the top 10 travel fit tips. Definitely check it out if you're someone who travels a lot or is traveling soon. New rules of restaurants for lean eating. Another good one that I just posted. If you like to dine out, it's a crash course in basically guiding you, guide to eating out. That's what she said. And then okay to train when sick, sore, tired, and then how to build your own home gym. Those are the latest episodes there. Definitely check them out. I think it's really good supplemental information to what you guys get at the Daily BJ. Any final questions? God, now I'm in the mood for moussaka. Damn you, Robert. I wish you wouldn't have named it because I would have forgot what it's called. And I'm going to have to have some moussaka at some point today, I think. All right, guys. Well, I don't see anything else. One thing to note, too, if you're a member, turn on your app notifications of the Daily BJ if you use the app. Because I've been sending some sext messages. No. Some of them were sexual. Not all of them. But I can send you notifications. Just stay in touch. Updates about the program, etc. Hope you guys like it. Robert's girlfriend is Greek. Good for you, man. Oh, you hit the jackpot there. Larry's asking if I'm grouping any months together as programs like Summer Swole. No, because honestly, I'm sick and tired of coming up with names. I've come up with all of them. And ultimately, I just want you to do 3 workouts a week every month, and I'll just give you a whole new slew of workouts. It might sound cooler, but there's no difference. I mean, it's a marketing strategy, but I think after the program Force and Fire, I was like, okay, I'm done making names for a while. I'll just save them for marketing. You guys don't need the marketing. You just need good workouts. You're getting it just like Dumbbell Dynamite it sounds amazing, but it's 6 dumbbell workouts. So every month you're getting the same programs you got on the old Daily BJ, just without the fancy names. And frankly, you're getting a better version because what I was ended up doing is I was watering down my muscle building content in some cases. And now I'm just giving you the best fat loss program and the best muscle building program you can go get somewhere else, which frankly, most people aren't interested in. They don't have the time or desire to take it there. And I don't blame you. I probably wouldn't if I had kids and I had a job that was outside of fitness. It's a big commitment, and it's much more expensive. Z Sonic, I appreciate it, man. What's your name, by the way? I should start calling you Z Sonic because I see you posting all the time on the app. Zach, okay, excellent. Zach with a C, I'll remember that. All right, guys, hope this helped. If you guys, find value in it, I might start doing this on a monthly basis, and it's nice to connect with you guys. I do want to say to you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, man, like to be able to, never before in my life have I've looked back in the last 15 years, and just I always wanted to find a way to get the way I approach fitness out to as many people as possible and allow people like you to get the benefits of a sustainable fitness program. And when I see you guys posting comments and reacting to the workouts and cursing me, it means the world to me and my wife. We've worked really hard to get where we are today, and we would not have been here or be able to stay relevant or found the longevity as a career in this without the support from good people like you. And we want to keep improving the platform and building upon it. But it all starts with you guys. And I just want you to know, I'm not a very social guy, but you guys are like an extended family to me. So this is very important to us, and to find a way to get people around the world just consistent, making it a lifestyle, and then the fact that they can elevate everything else you do. That's the beauty of this. So it's not just about the sets and reps, the weights. It's about what this unlocks for you, really from the standpoint of discipline, mindset, and quality of life. You're going to have, if you're someone who sticks with this stuff, you do these workouts month after month, you're going to find a quality of life, a quality of movement that most people dream about. And instead of looking to pills and surgeries to get that fixed or having a shortened life, obviously you can't control things beyond your control, but you can control your behavior. And that's what I've always loved about fitness, is that if you put in the work, you put in the effort, you always get the results concurrent with that amount of effort. So stay consistent, keep showing up, keep making a change. I love you guys. Peace.